Have you ever been doing some ethical hacking, maybe penetration testing work, maybe security research, digging into malware, and you tried to download something from the internet, but your web browser stopped you? You know, say I'm over on Windows and I open up my web browser, I simply want to Google, maybe we'll get Bloodhound for Active Directory. Yep, okay, thanks for that, Google. I mean the Bloodhound GitHub page to do some, enumeration reconnaissance in an Active Directory environment, and we'd go download the tool, but we can't because our web browser says, hey, that's unsafe. In this case, I'm using Microsoft Edge, and that whines and complains because, Microsoft Defender SmartScreen says we're not allowed to go to that web page unless we move through it, click to the continue to unsafe site, not recommended, which, if you're doing maybe some phishing assessments or operations and engagements, you don't want that up on whatever you have on your site. Is there a way that we could bypass that? Take a look over in the top left. It does tell me this is a dangerous site, even though it's just simply GitHub. Maybe I went to another resource like Gentle Kiwi and his Mimikatz utility. Say I wanted to go to that page. Thankfully, that one isn't going to get SmartScreen, big flashy red web page and splash screen. However, if I go to some of the releases to go download that tool, then, hey, Edge won't let me. Maybe it'll pull the file down, but then it'll say, that's bad. Mimikatz was blocked as unsafe by Microsoft Defender SmartScreen. So just as a curious trick, maybe something to wonder about, can we bypass, circumvent, or get around SmartScreen or any of the other sort of cloud protection capabilities in other web browsers? Super quick context here. I was just recently at Hack SpaceCon, one awesome conference and security event, and I was chatting with Joe, good friend Joe Helly. I'm sorry, Joe. I never know how to say your last name. It makes me feel weird. But anyway, we got to chat. We got to talk. And he told me about this small little thing where he noticed, look, if you just tweak some settings in the network configuration or DNS, the domain name system, you could blind Defender SmartScreen and have it fail open where you could just get to any web page you wanted to and not have it prevent your downloads. I said to Joe, hey man, that's pretty cool. That's a little sweet. It's a small, tiny trick, but really worthwhile and I think a good thing to showcase. I asked him, hey, can I make a video about that? Do you mind? And he says, look, totally, but let me put a blog post out first because he hadn't publicized it previously. The thing is, he was messing around with his Pi-hole, Raspberry Pi, and the capability to block or, monitor and tweak some network communication. And he said, look, there were a lot of callouts and communications to Telem Edge, smartscreen.microsoft.com, DL Edge, Nav Edge, and all these that seem to be the URLs, the domains and addresses that Microsoft will use to determine if a website is safe or unsafe or whether or not a file is okay to download. So could we just toggle those off? He had tested this with his Pi-hole and then realized, well, that might take a little bit of time to flush or reconfigure the DNS cache. So you might need to reboot the machine or just genuinely flush DNS with the ipconfig command. But I was wondering, could we do this in another way? Say, for one example, I don't have a Pi-hole set up. I really should. I've got a Raspberry Pi and I got to do that. But maybe you're in an environment where that's just not a thing that you've got access to, but you're on the endpoint, you're on the target, and maybe you just want to have a little bit more freedom and you don't want Defender, SmartScreen, or any of that crap getting in your way. Could we do something? In this video, I want to show that, but before we dive in, please allow me to chat a little bit about today's sponsor of this video, Keeper Security. I gotta be honest, I look for the most secure solutions on the market. Every organization, even my own, needs to secure passwords, credentials, secrets, and connections, all to reduce the risk of cyber attacks. And Keeper Security offers a privileged access management solution to deliver enterprise-grade protection all in one unified platform. Their PAM solution enables your business to have complete visibility, security, control, and reporting across every user on every device, so even a small IT team can manage and protect their environment. Keeper integrates with infrastructure and identity access management stacks and works out of the box with your other technologies for password rotation, passwordless authentication, SIEM, CI/CD, and so much more. It fits right into your organization without the hassle of deployment and maintenance. Keeper PAM is purpose-built to protect perimeterless and multi-cloud environments with the features and functionality that your organization needs. I've seen Keeper personally at tons of different cybersecurity events, and I've gotten a chance to chat with their partners. Seriously, it is always high praise and proven success with their platform. With over 275,000 5-star ratings in app stores, users rave about Keeper. With Keeper, you can keep your users, your data, and your environment secure. Learn more today and sign up for a demo with my link below in the video description. jh.live/Keeper. Huge thanks to Keeper for sponsoring this video. So getting back to it, let me say, yes, we could totally circumvent this and bypass SmartScreen and blind it so that it could fail open to a certain extent, and we could get past the stupid red screen and download files that we'd like. Now, I'll do this with a little trick with the etc. hosts file. I'll open up a terminal, a command prompt, and I'll run that as an administrator. I hit Control-Shift-Enter to have UAC open up here for me. With that, I could go navigate into C, Windows, System 32, and on Windows, that location for the etc. host file is in drivers, etc. So in that directory, we should have our hosts file, and I can just open that up. Since I am an administrator of command prompt, I should be able to use Notepad, and that'll inherit some of those permissions, and that'll be opening this with the privileges and permissions that I need. Let me full screen or maximize Notepad, and let's try to add some DNS entries for those domains that Joe had found. We got to keep in mind, though, the first column for rows or entries in the etc. host file should be the IP address and then the domain. We could add multiple domains, but we need to know what IP address are we actually pointing that to. And this is a little trick. Look, not all that sophisticated, nothing fancy. Talked about it many times before, but we could do some DNS sinkholing, where we point it to 0.0.0.0. And I'll now paste in, telem edge, SmartScreen at Microsoft.com. I think there was a DL edge and then like a nav edge just as well. So all on the same line, those should be A-okay to include here. Now, if I were to put these side by side, our Microsoft Edge web browser on the left-hand side, our etc. host file on the right-hand side, say that I didn't have this line present, and if I were to just simply save this file, if I were to refresh this page, hit enter, I don't know, F5, anything that we might be able to do, Control-Shift-R to don't use the cache. Look, over and over and over again, Defender SmartScreen is going to tell us, without us pursuing forward, that that site is unsafe and we shouldn't go to it. But now if I were to go paste back in those specific lines to actually add that DNS sinkhole, and I save this file, fingers crossed, if I Control-Shift-R back on Microsoft Edge, still a little bit upset. But let me go open up a new Microsoft Edge component here, and we'll go back to that exact same page. Here we go, firing it up. I'll just get to GitHub and Bloodhound, just as we have. And now, look, there's no concern. In fact, I don't know, we could go back to our Gentle Kiwi example, and the same thing would trigger on Bloodhound. And if I were to try and download that trunk.zip one more time, still blocked by Defender SmartScreen. Bummer. Okay. Even the 7-zip trying something new? No, still not quite happening. So there might be more that we can do here. At the very least, though, we did get past our red screen, but now we know, okay, the approach is to at least look for some DNS entries, the URLs, the domains that would communicate and tell whether or not a website or a file download is unsafe or dangerous. And I'm curious, okay, how could we prevent some of those file downloads? And will this work just as well in other browsers? Could we do this in like Firefox or Google Chrome, which might be much more common than Microsoft Edge? So I'll be honest, I asked ChatGPT to see if I could speed up the research, right? Save me from Googling, trying to drown in documentation to find some obscure esoteric URLs and domains. And what is this specifically for other web browsers like Firefox or Chrome? And they responded, look, the feature that you mentioned in Microsoft Edge is SmartScreen. It's doing what it should do, hey, looking for phishing attacks or malware and URLs or downloaded files. But for Google Chrome, they have a little bit of a separate service they call Safe Browsing. That does a similar thing, but those URLs and domains are safebrowsing.googleapis.com, safebrowsingcachegoogle.com, and safebrowsinggoogle, whatever. Firefox does something similar. It is using that Google Safe Browsing service, but it even has some offline local list of URLs that it might check before doing any of that online cloud queries. Safari and Opera do their own things, but at the very least, we got the Google Chrome answer, and that's what I wanted for some new experimentation. Now, I've gotten Google Chrome installed, so at the very least, Google Chrome isn't going to worry about, oh, the page for Bloodhound as one example. But if we were to try to download one of the tools, right, hey, getting into the releases, say we downloaded Bloodhound 32 64-bit thing, let's see, will that work? Let me take a look at the downloads. Nope, dangerous download blocked. So once again, hey, safe browsing now is kicking in. And we haven't added those domains to Sinkhole in our etc. host file, so we could open that up one more time and paste those in alongside the ones with Microsoft. Now with that staged, I'll save this file and we can go back to Google Chrome. I suppose we can try to download it again, but I think it's worth restarting Chrome. Will that come through? Nope, dangerous download blocked. Let's try another fresh instance. Hopping over to that same URL. Let's go download that specific one. Still not coming to life. Dangerous download blocked. We could try any others, but okay, we must be missing something. But we can do a little bit of our own investigative work to try and track down why didn't we get past it on Edge, and are we missing anything on Google Chrome? In this case, we could fire up Wireshark. Let's see if we could actually track down any of the network communication for downloaded requests and looking for new files with the web browser like Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, now that we know it's either safe browsing on Google Chrome side or SmartScreen on Edge. So what I'll do is put these side by side again, and I'll go ahead and try to download this as I'm listening on Ethernet 0 in my case. So I'll double click this to listen. I'll try to go download that Windows instance. You'll see a handful of requests coming through, and once again, that download is blocked. So let me stop listening with Wireshark. And now I'll full screen this to see if I could search for any TCP packets with whatever they are, and if they contain that simple safe browsing, just like we saw in a lot of the other URLs that the ChatGPT told us is what Google Chrome might use. I'll hit enter on this, and there's nothing. Okay. How about just like safe? Is that worth looking in? No. Do we have IP? Will that work? Browse? No, I'm not sure. And at this point, I'm kind of wondering, okay, what is it that we might be missing? It looked like there were 3 URLs for safe browsing that would work fine if they were DNS sinkholed, so I'd go back and ask ChatGPT. I had said, look, I've gone ahead and sinkholed those Google safe browsing domains that you had just given me, but I still see the dangerous download blocked when I try to download a file. Is there another domain that I'm missing or something else that I'm not tracking? And they say, look, you might have other domains that we just aren't aware of. Maybe there are some hard-coded IP addresses, DNS queries, backup, local cache stuff. But I noticed that they actually said something a little bit interesting, because Chrome does support DNS over HTTPS. And Google's been all about that. Like, that's just kind of, I think, well known. Look, DNS over HTTPS is kind of cool. Google does it a lot. And that has some encryption, like TLS, SSL in the mix. So what if I just went back to Wireshark and looked for things like SSL? Can I do it contains SSL for whatever reason? Okay, there's a lot of stuff in there. What about that TCP? Will that contain SSL? Narrow it down a little bit. Yeah, okay, so there are some communications, but there's more for us to dig into back when we looked at IP. And you might have actually seen it. And just a quick second here. Couple DNS queries, maybe that would have been smarter to look at. Look, if we even just look for any DNS packets in the mix, because then we'll see it is going to go ask for sb-ssl.google.com. That was probably smart for us to look at too. Just look for Google. But that one makes sense to us because SB likely stands for safe browsing. Duh. So let's go add that domain into our etc. host file, sb-ssl.google.com. We'll make sure to save that. And now let's go back to Google Chrome and see if we can download Bloodhound or Mimikatz or any of the examples that we've been working with so far, trying to start that download. Now it's done. It works just fine. So that must have been the trick. That must have been all that we needed in this case, and giving us that specific URL, that domain that we might be able to use to blind safe browsing. But what about on Microsoft Edge? We still weren't able to do that download, but we can use the exact same methodology that we've just got working for us. Say that I'm back over looking at Mimikatz, trying to download yet another entry. Well, I don't have that working. It's blocked by Defender SmartScreen. But if I go use Wireshark, let me stop listening and let's filter on some of that network traffic. We could use, once again, that DNS and maybe contains, in this case, SmartScreen. Maybe that's worth trying to track down. No quite looks there. What about IP? Okay, IP contains it. Frame, yep, just as well. And look, we can see another URL that would be worthwhile. app-edge.smartscreen.com. Okay, well, easy peasy. Let's put that back into our etc. host file, app edge. Okay, got that one set, and let's go ahead and save this. Let's try to get back to Edge and see if it'll now let us download this zip file. Couldn't download virus detected. Oh, that's just Defender. Hey, that's not fair. Obviously, if you're thinking about this in the scenario where you could actually manipulate and modify the DNS settings, or etc. host in this case, you would likely just be able to kill Defender or whatever antivirus, because you do have local admin rights at that point. So if I were to nuke that, try to download once again, yep, totally just fine. Defender's just whining because we turned it off. So those are some interesting and worthwhile domains. Anything.smartscreen.microsoft.com, TelemEdge, DLEdge, Nav, and apparently AppEdge, new one to add into the mix. And for safe browsing, over on Google's side, you've got SB-TAC SSL when it tries to do some of those DNS over HTTP and HTTPS tricks. So let me ask you though, because I'm sure we'll have some of the conversation in the YouTube comments, what do you think? Is this really all that of a big of a deal? Have we blinded SmartScreen or safe browsing? Is there really a vulnerability here in any sense? I know it's odd that it fails open, but I guess that just kind of makes sense. If it can't reach the cloud endpoint because we've nuked it or put it in the DNS single, well, okay, you're making those configuration changes and now it wouldn't be able to communicate there. Flipping back over to Joe's blog post, this write-up that he had done here, he expressed that, look, he did communicate this to Microsoft. He worked through the same example that I had just showcased, and he says, I submitted this to Microsoft on May 11th of 2023, and he got a response on the 24th stating that no fix will be released as it requires control of local network settings. Obviously, in the case of a Pi-hole, there's a little bit of a different setup and structure there, some other infrastructure that controls whatever the network topology communication settings look like, but the etc. hosts option locally on the endpoint, I feel like is, I don't know, an avenue. And that might be something worth chatting about because look, I just acknowledged when you do the etc. host trick, you do need those local admin permissions. And well, if you buy a new computer or you've just got a new Windows endpoint, whatever laptop or anything, you're usually just local admin installed as your personal computer. That's not to say that's what you're going to run into in penetration tests, red teaming, ethical hacking, whatever, but it's a thing to have in our mind. And totally agreed, it's not like this is some crazy world-ending, elite, sophisticated threat or risk or whatever, but I thought that's a neat trick and worthwhile to showcase. Hey, thanks so much for watching, falling down the rabbit hole here with me, doing just some quick, looking at Wireshark, trying to examine the network communication to see what URLs or domains are really in communication with safe browsing or SmartScreen or whatever the stuff that puts up all those big flashy warnings in your web browsers. If you would be so kind, please do take a look at Keeper, link in the video description. Seriously, huge thanks to Keeper Security for sponsoring this video and continuing to support the channel. And with that, especially thank you to you for watching and continuing to support the channel. Please do all those YouTube algorithm things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.